Today we're going to learn how to write equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. And if you'll notice, we have three pictures of graphs. There is one line drawn on each graph below. What are the three possible ways that you can draw a second line on the same graph? Well, the first way is you could just draw a line that intersects it. And so we would say intersecting. The second way we could draw a line on the same graph is if it never intersected it, and that would be if the two lines were parallel. And the third way that we could draw a line on the same graph is if it intersected it, but it also made right angles. That is called perpendicular. So we could either just draw a line that intersects it, we could draw a line that's parallel that will never intersect, or we could draw a line that intersects it but then makes right angles, which means it's perpendicular. Okay, let's go on to the next problems. Okay, it says find the slope of each of the blank lines below. Well, these lines are obviously parallel. And so let's find the two slopes. We're going to call this line 1 and we'll call this line 2. So the slope of line 1, we're going to pick 2 points on it. Let's say this point right here. That point right there. And let's say this point right here. So it looks like I'm going to go up 3 over 2. So that means that my slope would be 3 over 2. I cannot simplify it, so it's going to be 3 over 2. On the second line, if I pick this point right here and say this point right here, and find the slope of that, I'm going to go up 3 over 2. So the slope of line 2 is also 3 over 2. And therefore, we can say that the slopes are the same. So slopes are the same. Or we could say that they're equal. So that means that parallel lines are going to have the same slope. Okay, let's go on to the next. Okay, so if you turn your page, the next question says a line parallel to y equals 1/3 x plus 8 has a slope of. Well, we know that if the two lines are parallel, that they have the same slope, and the slope of this line is 1/3 because it's y equals mx plus b. So the slope of a line parallel to that must also be 1/3. On number 2, a line parallel to y equals 2x minus 7 has a slope of, well, the slope of this line is 2. And so a line parallel to that would also have a slope of 2. On number 3, a line parallel to 3y equals 6x plus 12 has a slope of, well, at this point I don't know what the slope of 3y equals 6x plus 12 is because it's not solved for y. So the first thing I have to do is get it into y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to divide by 3, and I get y equals 2x plus 4. Now I know that the slope is 2, so that means that a line parallel to that would also have a slope of 2. Okay, let's go on and let's write an equation of a line parallel to another line. Okay, so if I want to write an equation of each line in slope-intercept form, and I know that on number 4 it goes through 5, 3, and it's parallel to y equals 1/2 x plus 4, I know that the slope is 1/2. Because if my line is y equals 1/2 x plus 4, that means that it has the same slope. So my slope of my line would also be 1/2, and it goes through the point 5, 3. So I can use point slope form to find the equation of this line. So I'm going to use point slope form, which remember is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That is point slope form. So let's plug those numbers into this equation, into this formula, and we'll see what we get. Go ahead and do that on your own. I'm going to press pause here until give you a few minutes to see if you can get an answer, and then we'll compare. Okay, I got y equals 1/2 x plus 1/2. As you can see, I plugged in the points 5, 3 and the slope of 1/2, and I just did the distributive property. Then I added 3 to both sides, and I got y equals 1/2 x plus 1/2. Let's try number 5. On number 5, it's the line through negative 3, 8 and parallel to y equals negative 4x plus 2. If it's parallel to y equals negative 4x plus 2, that means my slope is going to be the same, which is negative 4, and it's going to go through the point negative 3, 8. So let's plug that into point slope form and see what equation we get. I'm going to pause and give you a chance to do that, and we'll compare answers. Okay, my answer that I got is y equals negative 4x minus 4. If you are not sure, you can look through my work. We can press pause here and you can look through my work and see what we did differently and see if you got a different answer or where your work differed from mine. Let's go on to the next thing. Now we're going to find the slope of the perpendicular lines below. These lines are perpendicular because they make right angles. So let's call one of these lines line 1, and we'll call this one line 2. Let's find the two slopes. So the slope of line 1, if we pick 2 points on it, I'm going to pick this point and this point, and it looks like my slope is going to be up 2 over 1, so my slope is 2. Now let's pick 2 points on the other line. It looks like this would be a good point, and this would be a good point. And that looks like I'm going to go down 1 over 2. So the slope of line 2 is down 1 over 2, which is negative 1/2. So hopefully you notice that these slopes are related in some way. They happen to be what we call opposite reciprocals. They're opposites of each other. One's positive, one's negative. And reciprocals means they're fractions flipped over, because 2 written as a fraction could be written as 2 over 1, and when you flip it over it would be 1 over 2. So the slopes of perpendicular lines, let's write that, perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. Okay, and so that's what we need to know about perpendicular lines. Now let's go on and solve some problems with perpendicular lines. Okay, a line perpendicular to y equals 2/3 x plus 5 has a slope of blank. Well, if they're perpendicular, that means their slopes are opposite reciprocals. So the opposite reciprocal of 2/3 would be negative 3 over 2. That would be the slope of a line that's perpendicular to this one. A line perpendicular to y equals negative 2x plus 10 has a slope of blank. Well, their slopes would be opposite reciprocals. 2 as a fraction would be 2 over 1, so if I flip it over, it's going to be 1/2. And since this slope is negative 2x, or negative 2, the slope of the line perpendicular would be positive 1/2. On number 8, you first have to solve for y to find the slope. So I would divide by 5, and I would get y equals 3/5 x minus 2. Well, the slope of this line is 3/5. The perpendicular slope to that would be negative 5 over 3. Okay, so let's use this information to write equations of lines that are perpendicular to other lines. We want the equation of the line through negative 3, negative 8, and perpendicular to y equals negative 4x plus 2. Well, if the lines are perpendicular, they have opposite reciprocal slopes. So that means that the slope of my line is not going to be negative 4, it's going to be positive 1 over 4. And it's going to go through the point negative 3, negative 8. So we're going to do the same thing we did before, is we're going to use point slope form, and we're going to find the equation, but we're going to use the slope 1/4 because it's perpendicular to negative 4. So go ahead and do your work and see what you get, and we'll compare answers. Let's pause here just for a second. All right, I got the answer. Y equals 1/4 x minus 29/4. I showed all my work there. If you need to, we can pause this and you can look over and see where your work differs from mine if you got a different answer. Remember, you can use your calculator to do 3/4 minus 8 to get negative 29/4. Let's go to number 10. Pause if we need to and look at this work to see where you did something different. Okay, on number 10, it's the line through negative 4, 1 and perpendicular to y equals 1/3 x plus 8. If they are perpendicular, their slopes are opposite reciprocals. So the slope I'm going to use is not 1/3, it's going to be negative 3 over 1, which is just negative 3. So we're going to use negative 3 for our slope and negative 4, 1 as our point. And so then we will do our equation, and let's pause this and we'll see if we get the same answer. Okay, I got y equals negative 3x minus 11. Go through and check my work if you need to, if you got a different answer, and see where we did something different. And then let's do some other practice. We're going to just kind of mix them up. We're going to do some parallel and some perpendicular. So let's do number 11. We're going to pause. You're going to do number 11 on your own, and then we'll compare answers. Okay, so on number 11, remember that it's the line through negative 4, 1 and parallel to y equals 2x plus 9. All right, I got y equals 2x plus 9. If we need to, we can pause, look through my work, and see how you did it differently if you got a different answer. Let's try number 12. Notice that number 12 says it's the line through negative 5, 2 and perpendicular to y equals 1/5 x minus 18. It's not parallel, it's perpendicular. So try this one and see what you get. Let's pause. Okay, I got y equals 5x plus 27 if we need to. Let's pause this and look through the work and see how you got it different. And let's go to number 13 and try this one. This one is a line through 2, 3 and parallel to y equals negative 2x plus 4. I got y equals negative 2x plus 7. If we need to, we can pause. Otherwise, let's go to number 14. Line through 1, negative 1 and perpendicular to y equals 4/3 x plus 2/5. Let's pause, work through this one, and compare. Okay, I got y equals negative 3/4 x minus 1/4. Pause and compare your work if needed. Let's go on to special lines. Okay, at this point I'm going to stop this video and we're going to just do a separate video for special lines and the rest of this. So look for the next video.